The annual Detroit Motor Show, where 700,000 people come to look at cars, present and future. Toyota has chosen this as a venue to launch the new wide-bodied Camry. Behind this launch are 8 years of hard work. Toyota has allowed us to film the Camry in its design process. We're going to look behind the scenes, finding out how a new product is designed, tested and marketed. In the case of a car, the process takes many years and involves people from all around the globe. The stages in designing and making a new car are the same, no matter where it's produced. First, there's market research, design brief and design development, making the prototype, tooling up for mass production, manufacture, and finally, the launch. A large car manufacturer like Toyota has a range of models, both commercial and domestic, each one competing in its own market niche. Designing and marketing a new car model is a massive investment, around $3 to $5 billion. Before they spend this sort of money, companies carry out research to try and predict the market many years ahead. This research is done using individuals of different ages and cultural backgrounds.
Before we make a new car, given the 8-year time frame, we have to forecast the position of society very far in the future. And so we get groups of different demographics together, different lifestyles, different backgrounds and different parts of the country, and in fact different parts of the world. And we just have a chat to them about what they feel they would like in a car. And it may be, for example, ease of parking, and so power steering might become a standard feature on the car. Central door locking has suddenly also become a very important feature from a point of view of convenience, but also from a point of view of security in the street nowadays, because today, unlike perhaps 5 years ago, people have showed that they feel a certain sense of insecurity when they're on the road. In other words, if they're parked or stopped at a traffic light on the road, they feel they must have all the doors locked. This is something we've never encountered before.
Market researchers are constantly updating their findings.
We had to add on the sedan the split rear seat to give people access to the boot from the inside of the car. We had not put that in as a cost saving, so to keep the price down, but people have showed that after they'd had the car, they wanted it and were prepared to pay for it.
Working with the results of market research, the designer's first task is to do what's known as the package study, where the overall size and shape are confirmed.
We've determined by our previous studies how much space we want between the front and the rear passenger. We've determined how much space we need for head clearance between the top of the driver's head and the top of the rear passenger's head and the roof. We're using this dummy, which is a 95 percentile and represents by its nature 95% of the people in our country. Having determined this position between the two hip points of the front and rear passengers, we can then determine where the steering wheel is, the most important aspect from a driver's point of view. The next key factor is any regulations which are prevailing by the government, and one of the most important is the field of view. And the field of view is between the driver's eye and the highest part of the dashboard and bonnet, and between the driver's eye and the opening of the windscreen. The next step is to put the seats in the car. And as you can see from this layout, we've installed the seats, passenger seat, rear passenger seat, and we've confirmed that we have sufficient knee room, which is one of our design factors.
Using the package study statistics, the designers begin to produce the styling sketches.
After the designers have finished their task, the next step is to confirm our design by using a model. And we'll build firstly a wooden model and then a clay model to confirm that the passenger space is as we require it and that all the dimensions are correct and that we can physically sit in the car and make sure that all of our design criteria have been met.
With Toyota, the design must suit the whole world, so the requirements are sent back to Japan, where the clay model is built and the design is finalised. Attention to detail is crucial. The designers spend a lot of time selecting the right colours for the paintwork, the dash, and styling the seats. Tests are performed in a wind tunnel to monitor the aerodynamics. Modern car manufacture is a component-based industry. Whilst Toyota designs the body, many of the parts are made by other companies. Using Toyota specifications, different factories begin designing and testing the new parts. 70% of the Camry's components are made here in Australia. Using local manufacturers means the basic design can be adapted to suit local driving conditions.
One of the differences between Australian production of cars and those of Japan is that we use green tinted glass, whereas the Japanese use blue. We use green for a very good reason, in that it has a much tighter control of ultraviolet light coming into the car. Therefore, it has less heat build-up inside the cabin.
High temperatures aren't the only design problem that local manufacturers have to overcome.
The Australian roads are probably the most demanding in the world, ranging from stone-covered roads with potholes and to very coarse bitumen.
For the Camry, which has front-wheel drive, Bridgestone used an advanced rubber compound to give a better grip on the road. Wheel rims were also improved, using a stronger, lighter alloy. With the component design and testing well on the way, and the body design more or less finalised, the next stage is to build a series of jigs. These devices hold the parts in place. This jig holds the door panels in exactly the right spot, so the manufacturer can see if the fit is accurate. Later on in the production phase, the same jigs will be used for quality assurance. With the initial design complete, a prototype is assembled. The next stage is to gauge public reaction.
That's actually small, isn't it? Yeah, I'd rather something bigger there, not or something horrible.
At this stage, the shape has been decided, but there's still a choice of engine power, which options should be included as standard, and of course the price.
Big roomy car, you've got to think. Oh, but I think that if they've, because it's obvious that we're going away from that chunky look as well. If it is up to date and that look's going to be around for a while.
The next phase is called a static clinic. The aim is to see how well the car compares with its competitors. Market researchers place their car along with others in a similar market niche.
Better design down here, I know. It seems to be a bit more.
People are asked to inspect the car's every detail. They're also asked what kind of engine they want and whether they'll be carrying out their own maintenance.
What does everyone else think about the styling of the car? Any ideas?
It's today's shape.
Yeah, it's
Today's shape.
contemporary.
The smooth lines, the curved fronts and back.
People are asked to step back and give their overall impressions. Has the trial affected their opinion? Then they're asked about the price. How much would they be prepared to pay for various features?
23, 25, depending on the option level.
25 to 27.
They're asked the same questions for each car in the room.
I like the feel because you can just put your hand on it.
At this stage, Toyota can still respond to the results of this market research.
Other things that we work on are environmental friendliness, becoming very important, especially to younger buyers who we interview now, who will not be able to buy the car now, but in, say, 10 years' time, will certainly take a very severe view of any car that is not environmentally friendly and at least 80% recyclable. We're also very intensely interested in fuel economy because there is a limited fossil fuel supply and we feel a responsibility to provide more fuel-efficient cars with each new model.
Once the necessary refinements have been made, the prototype is ready for testing. The cars are taken on a journey to Central Australia. At the end of the day, the test drivers give points for various aspects of the car's performance.
3 for the automatic. The engine performance, V6, 4-speed automatic, 4-speed manual, so that order again, same as last night. And the other 2...
There's fierce competition between car manufacturers, and so the survey results are a closely guarded secret. Meanwhile, at another site, the prototypes are given the ultimate workout to check they meet stringent safety regulations. Manufacturers are always trying to improve passenger and driver safety.
The steering column is actually mounted to a subframe to which the engine and transmission are also attached. During the impact, that's actually gone under the car, and this is turned to pivot the steering column upwards and away from the driver. And you can see the deformation through here. So what has happened, of course, is the engine transmission has tended to go underneath, but still there's no major deformation which would affect the legs of the passenger or the driver.
Once the prototype has passed these tests, production can begin. Components are manufactured by many local companies. Later, they are taken to Toyota's new plant in Victoria, where the Camry is assembled. Meanwhile, the plant is tooling up for manufacture. Components are fitted onto jigs so that assembly can be done efficiently. This factory is the result of a $420 million investment by Toyota. and its assembly line is highly automated. Machines lower the parts into position. Robots are programmed to spot weld at specific points, so the panels are held in exactly the right place. After welding, the cars move on to the next station. Most of the shell assembly is done by machines. Once the shell has been made and painted, production is completed by people working in conjunction with machines. Here the dash is being placed by a mechanical arm that's designed for this particular task. To meet customer demand, each car comes with particular options: colour, trim and motor. The factory is set up so that these can be produced simultaneously. Details are printed on a sheet that hangs from the bonnet, giving each assembler the instructions for their section. This model has air conditioning. Alternating the car colour, engine size and the options means that all the plants supplying the components can work at the same time, rather than one standing by while the other works double time. With the shell complete and the cooling system installed, the next stage is to assemble the engine. Each nut is air hammered to the right torque or tension. The engine is raised up on a hydraulic platform and bolted into position. Quality assurance is an important aspect of any business, and in car manufacture it's carried out at various stages on the production line. Mass production methods are extremely efficient. Working to capacity, this plant can produce 400 cars per day. Each finished car is now ready for testing. First, it's driven at around 100 kilometres an hour on this dynamometer. Next, the exhaust emissions are monitored. The engine is checked for tuning. The paintwork is examined. And finally, the door and window seals are water tested.
We have a production process which can build cars to truly international standard.
8 years after market research started, the first wide-body Camry rolls off the production line.
The new wide-body Camrys prove this can occur.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremonial first wide-body Toyota Camry.
The next challenge is to sell your product. And here advertising and marketing are just as important as making a good car. Bringing out a new product is time-consuming and costly, and a large manufacturing company will spend many years on promotion and marketing. However, the design process is continuous. Even before a new car is released, the design team is hard at work on the next model for people your age.